Hey, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Erica, and today I am going to be talking about mental health professionals that are also YouTubers. And I know this can be a bit of a controversial topic, but I kind of wanted to delve into it because I've noticed there are a lot of mental health professionals like therapists and social workers and psychologists and psychiatrists on this platform, and I've always kind of had mixed feelings about it as somebody who's been through the mental health system and has dealt with both good therapists and doctors and some pretty terrible therapists and doctors. So I just wanted to share my perspective. And the first person I am going to be talking about is Kati Morton.
Because I feel like, do you spot them?
You can feel them. I don't know if you can really spot them.
I hated that. Oh my god. Okay, what do you mean you can feel them?
It's like you said, roller coaster. That's a perfect way to set it up, because it's almost like when you're around people like this, it's if you sense what I sense, I guess, about them, it's like a pit in your stomach. Like it's that feeling, but just from them being around.
Ooh. Okay. So besides the feeling, what are the characteristics, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. A lot of it is just the main thing that people talk about is like they have no empathy. And I think that's a hard thing for people to actually fully understand, because most of us don't have this issue. So we feel for other people.
Yeah.
And we feel all day. Mm-hmm. I feel pissed off. I feel excited. Mm-hmm. I feel disappointed, whatever. They don't have any of that. For instance, the other day I was in my car and I'm driving, and there's this little lady that started to get into the crosswalk, and I was like, honey, you got like 12 seconds. I'm worried. I hope people wait for you and like pay attention. Right. You know, a sociopath would just be like, ugh. Like it wouldn't worry. There's no worry for her. They don't have any empathy for the situation for her. Mm. They wouldn't, if someone kicked a dog and they saw it, they wouldn't feel anything for it. They just have no empathy. And I know I'm talking about like bad things, but also good things. Like they just don't, like imagine if you lived in a world in your brain where anything that happened to other people, you didn't really care about it at all. You didn't care how they felt. You didn't care what happened to them, as long as it didn't affect you.
The moments many feared would be their last.
Ooh. That is terrifying.
Yeah, that's hence the that feeling. Like, ugh.
Is that a mental disorder? What is it?
Technically speaking, a lot of like clinicians like myself would call it antisocial personality disorder.
Hey everyone, it's Iris, and I am going to talk to you about antisocial personality disorder, which is my diagnosis.
So what are like the bullet?
And I'm pretty sure she's the most popular mental health professional on this platform, as she was featured in Shane Dawson's docu-series on Jake Paul. So, I mean, she's pretty high profile now. A lot of people know who she is. And a lot of the main criticism, and also the criticism that I personally have towards her, is that during that docu-series, she was brought on to talk about sociopathy and help Shane Dawson figure out whether Jake Paul was a sociopath or not. And first of all, she does not specialize in sociopathy. She specializes in like eating disorders. She specializes in EDs, in anxiety and depression. And the thing with certain mental health disorders like sociopathy is you really need somebody trained for that specific disorder. And in the docu-series, and I will show some clips, she says things like when you're around people that are sociopaths, you get this icky feeling and that they're gross. And she constantly makes faces when referring to people that are sociopaths. And I just think that is so unprofessional. And like, if I were a patient of hers, I would feel so uncomfortable with that, and I would feel like she might be mocking me behind my back, even though I don't have sociopathy. But I mean, if she's like that with that disorder, then what does she say about people with other disorders? It's just really unprofessional and just kind of just like, which is, by the way, which is what she said about sociopaths. And the next person I am going to be talking about is a person, I think his handle on YouTube is Dr. Todd Grande, and I believe he is a psychiatrist, but I could be wrong. But Dr. Grande, he has talked about like Claudia Conway, who is Kellyanne Conway's daughter, and he kind of like said she wasn't being harmed by her parents, and that she was just making all this up for attention, and she was rebelling. And I cannot put clips of that video in here, unfortunately, because Dr. Grande has since deleted that video, since I think he's gotten a lot of backlash from it, rightfully so.
Between that vulnerable state and a grandiose state of narcissism. So everything's on a continuum, and with this movement back and forth, it could be that at times he was socially awkward and shy. Nicole described him in an interview with Police as an introvert, but not extremely introverted. And usually when we use the term socially awkward or shy, we are talking about a little bit more of an extreme version of introversion or low extroversion. So anyway, under this theory, he has characteristics consistent with vulnerable narcissism. And Nicole Kessinger manipulated him, not necessarily to commit murder, but unintentionally manipulated him and kind of moved him in this direction of being homicidal. So the analogy that kind of comes up here that I think is appropriate, and this is how some people conceptualize it, is that, like, say there's like a beautiful actress, and she's very wealthy and very successful, and she's been in a lot of movies, and she kind of picks a sad, lonely, socially awkward guy who doesn't really stand out for many positive reasons, right? He's not kind of at the same level with acting or fame or anything, but even for other achievements, he doesn't really stand out. And she decides to start dating him. What would the man in that situation do? Right? In a sense, the beautiful actress could manipulate that man without even trying, because the status level is so different, or the apparent status level is so different. Now, I know Nicole Kessinger was not a Hollywood actress or anything like that, but that's kind of the analogy as people have described it to me when they say, well, this is maybe touching on what happened, is that she had a lot of power in this relationship because she was very attractive, and Chris didn't think of himself as attractive. So it creates a gap more similar to kind of the sad, lonely guy and the beautiful actress. That's what I really mean here. It's an analogy, not what directly happened with Nicole and Chris. And he did mention that Nicole appeared to pursue him, and the evidence is pretty clear about their sexual activity. They had a lot of sex, about 4 or 5 times a week.
I will show clips of some other videos where he just seems to be, he says he's not diagnosing people, and yet he's still talking about people he doesn't know's mental health, and he seems like he's judging them and just not being very professional, even though he tries to be that cool, calm, and collected guy. But I don't buy it. I think, I don't know, I just feel like you shouldn't, if you're a mental health professional, you're allowed to use social media. I'm never going to say you're not allowed to, but when you do, don't do it in a way where you misuse your degree. And by misuse, I mean when you're talking about the mental health of others, even people that you haven't worked with. Like, you can talk about mental health in general and give tips to people, because a lot of people cannot afford counseling, which is a big issue in this country, but that is for another day. But like, I liked Kati Morton's content before I saw the Shane Dawson docuseries, because I struggled with an ED, and when I was first diagnosed, her content regarding EDs and recovery really helped me. But after seeing that, I was like, no. And the next person I am going to be talking about is Smokey Glow. Now, she is a beauty / commentary channel, but she also has a degree in social work, and in a lot of her commentary content, she's constantly plugging that she's studied that in school, which, again, I feel like when you're talking about other people, you shouldn't be weaponizing your degree. Because the difference between me, a lay person on YouTube, and someone like her who is a professional on YouTube, is that when I speak, I don't command authority, because I don't have a degree to back up what I'm saying. But when you do have a degree and you're using that and being yeah, these are my qualifications, then I feel like you're almost, that's almost a way to make people trust you more. And that's why I think mental health professionals really shouldn't use their degree in that way. One therapist that I like on this platform, but I also have mixed feelings about her, is Atkins, and you might know her from, she covers a lot of YouTuber apologies and analyzes those, and I appreciate how every time I watch one of her videos, it's I learn more about how to give a proper apology. But one thing I don't like is I try to look at it from the perspective, if I was seeing this person for therapy and I saw them doing this on the internet, and she can come across as judgmental, and I get that she's breaking apart somebody's apology, so that's the nature of the beast. But I feel like if I was one of her clients, it would make me feel like she was gonna be judging me and everything I said to her, which I realize mental health professionals are trained not to do. But when you're conducting yourself that way online and in public, and also saying you're a mental health professional, it kind of gives me pause. But I do enjoy her content, and I have learned from some of it, so I'm not just dragging her and saying she's terrible. I think she's good, but I do think sometimes I just get a weird feeling in general when I watch content made by mental health professionals, because I don't know, I guess someone who's been a patient, it just seems odd. But that might be my own issue. And the last person I'm going to talk about is someone who's not actually a mental health professional. It is Rewired Soul. Now, from my understanding, he is a recovery coach for people that deal with substance dependency. So technically, he's not a professional, but he constantly brings up that he is a recovery coach, and he like picks apart public figures and talks about their mental health, and it's just, this is not a good look, and a lot of YouTubers have critiqued him for that, so you can see those videos, because I'm not gonna rehash everything he said and done, because other people have done it. But my video is just about mental health professionals on this platform in general, and asking, like, is it ethical? Is it okay to be using your qualifications in this way? Because ultimately, for the most part, YouTube is a platform for entertainment. So they're using their degree in psychology or social work or whatever their particular degree is in, and they're using it for entertainment purposes. And I just don't know how I personally feel about that. And of course, you may have her own opinion, and maybe you are a mental health professional, so maybe you see it in a different light. So feel free to comment your opinion down below, because I love to see what other people think. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.